So, good day, everyone. Thank you so much for taking a good chunk of time this morning to attend our webinar. I'm Shweta Shankari, and I'm a product marketing specialist here at Manage Engine, and I'll be your host for today. With me, I have Shakti Shankar, the customer success expert at Manage Engine PAM360, who will be the speakers for today's webinar. Hi, Shakti.
Hi, Shweta.
Pleasure to have you as always.
Thank
So,
you.
before we delve into this session, here is a quick premise on what we're going to discuss today. One of the areas in cybersecurity gaining considerable significance in the recent times is the machine or non human identity management. As organizations are increasingly migrating to cloud, adopting DevOps and robotic process automation in their IT, a lot of instances involve machines interacting and authenticating one another for their day to day operations. Storing the authentication identities locally within machines and hard coding of credentials can quickly become a reason for privilege abuse. So, it's very important to ensure that these machine identities fall under the umbrella of your organization's privileged access management strategy. The recent version of PAM360, that is build 5300, includes a plethora of machine identity management capabilities, especially SSH keys and SSL certificates. We'll be looking into more details on this as well as a complete walkthrough of the latest machine identity management capabilities of PAM360 in this webinar. So, without further ado, I'm happy to hand over the virtual dais to Shakti Shankar, the speaker for today's session. Over to you, Shakti.
Thanks for the intro, Shweta. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Again, my name is Shakti, and I'm going to be the presenter for today. Hope I'm audible and my screen is shared to everyone. Kindly confirm the same by typing yes in the chat window. I'll wait for a few seconds, so if at all there are any problems with the AV, kindly let me know over chat. The session is going to be for about an hour. Feel free to post your questions in the chat and we'll try our best to address as many of those towards the end of the session. If I miss any of the questions, I will ensure that it's answered through email. This webinar is being recorded and the link to the recording will be made available to you in the next few days. And I'm going to start a poll now. I have started a poll now and I would request each and every one of you to participate in this poll. You have 3 questions and can choose the right answer from the list. Your participation in this poll will immensely help us in the steep course of this webinar. We'll just give 1 more minute for the poll to complete. Okay, great. So we have the poll results. So for the first question, does your organization have a strategy to manage non-human identities like digital keys and certificates that grant access to corporate privileged assets? So for this, we have like 50% of people answering as not sure. And the other one, has your organization witnessed any outages related to SSL TLS certificates expire in the past 24 months? So we have like around 70% of people saying yes. And we have one more poll question. So which of the following privileged identities are managed by your organization's PAM solution? So almost everyone has said passwords, and I don't see anyone marking SSL certificates or SSH keys. Thanks for joining the poll. So today's webinar topic is what's new in PAM360, and the agenda is to cover the various new certificate management features introduced in the latest version. Before we dive into the new features, I would like to quickly highlight a few points reported by Forrester in a web session. The case of non-human privileged identities. I'll give you a few seconds for you to go through these points because and I will actually decode it for you. So SSH keys and SSL certificates are the digital identities which are considered as the weakest security links of a network. And almost 50% of the organizations find management of these digital identities challenging. And securing of these non-human identities, like mostly SSH keys and SSL certificates, is the top cybersecurity for 2021. And one of the key takeaways for us from this report is a good place to start is by clarifying who owns keeping SSL TLS certificates or code signing certificates, SSH keys, or any cryptographic keys, so they are kept up to date. Letting those fall through the cracks will leave thousands of machines exposed and exploitable on networks. And prioritizing machine identities and securing machine credentials is a must-have in 2021. Likewise, leaving these SSH keys or SSL certificates unattended or else leave it unmanaged may lead to service downtime. Manage Engine's PAM solution, PAM360, sufficiently incorporates machine identity management that enables IT teams manage multiple kinds of privileged identities like passwords, SSH keys, SSL certificates, PGP keys from a single interface without toggling between multiple product screens. Let me log in using the administrator account. So PAM360 has dedicated modules for each of SSH keys, SSL certificates, and even PGP key management. So this actually facilitates the lifecycle management of these identities. So right from discovery, inventory, creation and deployment, key rotation, certificate renewals, and audit via orchestration of multiple workflows from a central console. For the few uninitiated or new PAM360 users, or even PAM360 evaluators who have not made use of the certificate management module, let's take a quick tour. With the PAM360 certificate management module, we'll be able to manage the complete lifecycle of SSL certificates in an organization. So complete lifecycle in the sense, starting from certificate discovery, inventorying the certificates, identifying when the certificates are going to expire, sending out alerts about certificate expiry, setting up automatic renewals for the certificates, and deploying the certificates in the target locations. So this complete life cycle can be managed using PAM360, and we can also very well automate this particular process. Let's quickly take a look at the different discovery features available. So to discover certificates using PAM360, we can log in as an administrator and navigate to the certificate management page. Here under the discovery, we have different discovery options. So let's say if your requirement is to discover certificates from your network, like web server certificates, then we can make use of your IP address or an IP range. Or if you have a file with info of all the IP addresses, we can very well use them to run a discovery scan. Now, when we try to discover these certificates for a particular website or a web server, we have to make sure that we are also providing the right port number associated for the particular web server. So, for example, if I would like to discover certificate of zoho.com, I can either enter the IP address or its host name or a fully qualified name, specify the port number here and hit the discover button. If it's being hosted on multiple ports, I can have multiple port numbers and comma separated values and then hit the discover button. So this will go ahead and discover the certificate for us and add the certificate under the certificates page. So likewise, if you want to discover certificates according across an IP range, we can very well do that. Or if you want to use a subnet to run the discovery for a wider range, we can very well provide the IP address in the CID or format and complete the discovery. So there's one method of discovery. So similarly, we can also discover certificates from your mail servers, or if you have any load balancers or any SSH-based devices, if you want to discover certificates from load balancers like a big IPF5 or Citrix NetScaler, or any of the SSH-based load balancers for that particular matter, we can very well make use of this particular discovery feature. If it's Citrix, we also have an optional wherein we can make use of the REST API to discover certificates. And in the path, we have to specify the path from where the certificates are to be discovered. Key Manager Plus can directly integrate with your Microsoft Certificate Authority using this MS Certificates or Discovery feature, wherein we can directly communicate with your internal PKI and discover certificates from there. So we have to enter the server name and then provide a privileged account and password. Or the best method to do this is to run the PAM360 service with a privileged account, maybe a domain administrator account or a service account which has enough permissions to communicate with your internal PKI, fetch the templates, discover certificates for us. So we can either manually enter the credentials, or if the services is already running using this particular account, we can enable this checkbox and we can discover certificates. And from here, we can discover certificates according to specific templates as well. So if you want to include expired certificates or revoked certificates, you can very well select them and then hit the discover button. Right now, I am choosing to discover certificates by templates. So I just selected the template name OID here. I can choose them and then hit the discover button. Similarly, certificates can also be discovered from certificate stores of specific Windows machines or servers. So you can choose the certificate store option in the drop-down, provide that particular server name, provide a privileged account and password, and then you can click on the Get Stores button, which will discover the certificates for us. So you can list the stores, choose a specific store from where you want to discover certificates, like the personal store or root, anything it is, you can choose and you can discover certificates using this particular method. We can also discover certificates from your Active Directory. So if you have any certificates associated with user accounts, domain accounts, we can very well discover certificates from them using this particular AD user certificate option. So we can select the domain name, provide primary and secondary domain controllers, provide a privileged account, and you can either enter the usernames, groups, or OUs here for whose certificates we need to discover inside PAM360. Like any associated certificates from the domain users, we can very well import them using this discovery method. So other than that, we can also integrate with AWS to discover certificates. So for this, we need to register the access key and secret key. Once we register it, we can discover certificates from both ACM and IAM services. So these are the different discovery features available to discover certificates from PAM360 across your network. Now, the same can also be automated through a schedule functionality. We can very well go ahead and set up schedules to discover certificates from your network or from your internal signing authority every week or every month. And accordingly, the tool will automatically discover the certificates for us. We can also show an IP range, okay, from where you want to discover certificates in a periodic interval, and the tool will automatically discover any certificates. So any new certificates hosted will also be automatically discovered through this schedule discovery feature. Now, once the certificates are discovered, they'll be listed in this particular page. And as you can see, it shows you the certificate name, the issuer, like the signing authority, the validity information. So in case if any of the certificates have expired, you can see them in red. It's actually color coded. If any of the certificates are going to expire next 30 days, you will see them in orange. You can find the number of days, key size, signature algorithm, everything displayed in this particular page. And if you want to export any of these certificates, you can very well click on the certificate name here and click on the export button, which will allow you to export the certificates in any one of these formats, CER, CRT, DER, or P7B. In case if you have the certificate as a package, then you can very well export the certificates by clicking on the key store button available on the far right hand side. You can just click on this option to export the certificates in PFX, JKS, or PEM formats, or even if you want to export the private key, you can very well do that. In case if we have provided a passphrase while creating this particular certificate, and if you want to view it, you can very well click on the view passphrase button to see the password from this particular page. Now we have the certificates discovered. We have also scheduled automatic discovery of certificates. We can see which certificates are actually going to expire, and the same will be displayed in the dashboard screen as well. So if you go to the dashboard and click on the keys dashboard, it will pretty much provide you the required information, like total number of certificates signed by each signing authority, and certificate expiry table will actually show you that the certificates which have expired or the ones expiring next 30, 60, or 90 days. And then you can make use of the operation audit on the bottom right hand side to see if any users have like retrieved any certificate passphrase, or else if they have downloaded anything. Pretty much all operation audits can be accessed from right here. Now, the certificates which are going to expire, in case if you want to renew them, we have an option wherein we can go ahead and enable the automatic renewal. Now, auto renewal can be enabled for certificates which are actually signed by your internal signing authority or self-signed certificate. So this can be done by navigating to the admin page. Under SSL certificates, you have certificate renewal option, and you can enable these options like Microsoft Certificate Authority or self-signed, or even Microsoft Certificate Authority using agent, and you can specify how early you want the certificates to be automatically renewed. So right now it's been specified 10 days. If you want to change that, you can very well change it, and it's set to like renew every day at like 1 p.m. and you can very well save this. Now, in case if any of the certificates are going to expire next 30 days, the tool will automatically renew the certificates for you, and the new certificates will be added inside the Key Manager Plus interface. Now, once the certificates are renewed, if you want to go ahead and push these certificates to target machines, you can also very well do that. You can just select the certificates, click on the deploy button, and you have different deploy options here. You can choose the required option and then deploy the certificate. So for example, if you want to push the certificate to a particular Windows machine, let's say I want to put it on a C temp, I can very well specify the path here, and we can choose the file type or the certificate type that we want here. We can choose it, and then we can hit the deploy button. So this will go ahead and deploy the certificate on this particular server in this particular location. Okay, so similarly, this can also be done on multiple servers. And the deployment can also be done on certificate stores. So if you want to install the certificates onto certificate stores of specific Windows machines to the personal store or the computer account, you can make use of the Microsoft Certificate Store option. We can also perform IIS binding or push certificates to Linux or else to web browsers. So these are the different deployment options available right now. So any certificates renewed, we can go ahead and manually renew them. In case if you want these certificates to be automatically deployed upon auto renewal, we can very well enable that particular option. So for this, we need to choose that particular certificate, go to more, and then edit, and then we can enable deploy certificate and auto renewal. And we need to add this information, like where this information needs to, like the information about the servers has to be manually added, so that the tool once renews the certificate, it'll go ahead and automatically deploy the certificate on those target location. So this complete life cycle of SSL certificates can be managed using PAM360. Now, other than this, now let's assume you have any certificates signed by third parties. Okay, we can also very well manage them, and we directly integrate with few third-party signing authorities like GoDaddy, DigiCert, and Global Sign, and SSL Store. Now, in case if you have any certificates issued by any of these vendors, we can very well make use of these integrations to order certificates or renew certificates using Key Manager Plus. Okay, now let's see what are the new features. Whatever we have seen right now is the existing features of PAM360. Okay, the complete certificate lifecycle management. Now let's quickly dive in to the new features that we have released with this particular. Okay, so these are the latest updates. So SSL certificate discovery and rediscovery features. So a new discovery option has been introduced. So we can actually discover certificates right now using shared path discovery feature. So if you want to discover certificates from a particular path on a Windows machine or Linux or Mac OS, we can very well do that. Okay, so we can just navigate to the discovery page, choose shared path, and select the type as Windows. And we can provide the server name here. And we can provide the credentials, and then we can discover the certificate list. We need to provide the path from where we need to discover the certificates. So this will display the certificates available in this particular path. We can choose the required certificates that needs to be discovered, and we can hit the discover button. So what we have tried right now is to discover certificates from a specific path or a UNC path on a Windows machine. Now the same thing can be done for Linux or Mac OS as well. So we can choose Linux or Mac OS from the drop down. And then from right here, we can provide the server name, provide a privileged account and password. So if you have a key for authentication, you can also very well provide the select key here. We can provide the key as well, and then we can discover the certificates. Once again, we have to specify the path from where we want to discover this particular certificate. So as you can see, the certificate has been discovered. Now, a while back, we have discovered a certificate called zoho.com using the SSL discovery feature here. Okay. Now, let's assume the certificate has been renewed and it has been hosted directly, or the certificate has been replaced directly on the website. Now, in case if you want to go ahead and redo that particular discovery, you need not go to the discovery page and then hit the discover button once again. Instead, you can just like look for that particular certificate, select it, click on more, and hit the rediscover button. So this will go ahead and do the same process once again. So we can very well take a look at the status by navigating to the discovery audit page. We can go to discovery and discovery audit, and we can see that it's running this particular discovery feature right now. Now, earlier, in case any of the certificates are going to expire, okay, those certificates will be automatically renewed by PAM360. And so we can very well set that by navigating to the admin page, certificate renewal. And from right here, we have to enable the options like Microsoft Certificate Authority or self-signed, and then we can save this. So the tool will automatically renew the certificate. We did not have an option to manually renew the certificates. Now with this particular version release, we have an option wherein we can go ahead, choose the certificate, and hit the renew button. So I can just choose this particular certificate here and click on the renew button. It'll ask me for a validity here. I can specify the validity, and we can very well renew the certificate. Okay, so let me just do one thing quickly. Sorry about that. So we have so certificate has been renewed successfully. So the certificate that I have renewed right now is a self-signed certificate. The same can be done for certificate signed by your internal signing authority. Now we have also introduced a few third-party signing authorities. So earlier, the ones that we had direct integration out of box is the Global Sign, DigiCert, GoDaddy, and the SSL store. We also had Let's Encrypt earlier. Right now, we can also very well integrate with bypass Go SSL or Zero SSL. So this needs to be configured. So we can go ahead and start the registration. We can just click on the OK button here, click on New Registration, and we can provide a name and a valid email address. So it will ask you to accept the agreement. So once we do that, we can register and then start ordering certificates from bypass Go SSL. And the process is same for Zero SSL as well. So through this, right now, PAM360 integrates with multiple third-party vendors, certificate vendors like Let's Encrypt, Bypass Go SSL, Zero SSL, GoDaddy, DigiCert, Global Sign. And with SSL Store, we can further integrate with Sectigo, Symantec, FAT, GeoTrust, and Rapid SSL. So these are the third-party signing authorities with whom we can actually integrate, import certificates, or create new orders and get the certificates signed from those vendors. Mobile device certificate management integration. So Manage Engine has a mobile device management software, which lets you manage smartphones, tablets, laptops, desktops, TVs, and rugged devices. And we have like multiple operating system supports like Android, iOS, iPad OS, TV OS, Mac OS, Windows, Chrome OS. So Key Manager Plus, PAM360 integrates with this mobile device, Manage Engine mobile device management solution, so that we'll be able to manage the certificates of all those devices managed by the MDM solution. So for this, we can navigate to certificates and go to MDM, and we need to click on the Manage button. And we need to provide the server URL of this particular MDM server. So let me take you to the MDM server first. So the mobile device management solution will look something like this. So we need to copy this particular URL. And then we have to like have it updated here in the server URL. And we need to generate an API key from the MDM solution. So for this, we have to navigate to admin in the MDM solution. We have to navigate to admin, API key generation. Click on the generate key option here. And under application setup integration, we have to choose a third-party app. And service name, we can say PAM360. And the permissions we have to give are cert management, devices, and profiles. So these are three permissions, read and write permissions, which we have to provide to generate a key. So once the key is generated, we can very well copy it. And then we can navigate to the MDM server page in PAM360, provide the API key, and save. So from here, we can just click on the import button at the top, which will go ahead and import the certificates of all the remote devices which are managed by the MDM tool. So in case if any of these certificates are going to expire, we can very well manage those certificates from the SSL certificates page in PAM360. You can find these devices listed here. So if any of these certificates are going to expire, we can select, hit the renew button to renew them. And then we can very well go ahead and deploy the renewed certificate to Manage Engine MDM from right here. So Once it loads up, it will allow you to choose the device platform, whether it's iOS, Android, or Mac OS. And once you choose them, it will provide you the tools or the accounts available below it, and you will be able to deploy the certificate onto those particular devices. And for SSH key, we have a new feature. It's like an enhancement wherein we can do a key-based authentication when direct root login is disabled. So for this, when you go ahead and associate the key to a particular Linux machine, so there is a key here. I'm going to associate it to a particular Linux machine in PAM360. So while performing this association, I have an option wherein you use the option elevate to root user. So in case if root user login, direct root user login is disabled on a particular Linux machine, if I'm going to associate a key and during that particular process, if I choose the option elevate to root user, and if I associate this particular key to it, then when I try to go ahead and launch a session, the session will be launched using that particular key. So the root elevation will take place. So let me show you an example here. So this particular root, so the password direct root has been, direct root login has been disabled for this particular machine. Okay, I have a key associated to it. So let me show you the key associated. Valid key. Okay, so now in case if I'm going to go ahead and launch the SSH session, this session will be launched using this particular key. So direct root login is also possible by using the SSH key. And for this, we have to make sure that we select the right checkbox while associating the key file. So elevate to root user. So this has to be enabled. And we have also introduced a few new RESTful APIs in PAM360 for certificate management. Let me show you a list. So whatever actions that we perform in PAM360 for certificate management, like SSL certificate discovery, certificate creation, certificate signing, deployment, or renewal, all this can be automated very well using the RESTful API features available in PAM360. And we have also introduced a few new RESTful APIs, and they are deploy certificate, options to share SSL certificates to users, user groups, or to share SSL certificate groups to users and user groups, even revoke certificate features, and creating new SSL certificate groups or editing them, and even creating agent install keys. And all the actions that takes place within PAM360 will be audited, as you know, and the same can be generated as reports. Now, while sending out email alerts earlier, okay, so the normal email would say that like a particular certificate is going to expire in so and so date. Okay, it'll just give you the name and as well as the number of days available for the certificate expiry. So a new enhancement that has been added recently is that you can like the tool will also like send out the information about all the servers where the certificate is actually hosted. So that's also one of the new enhancements that has been introduced with this particular release. And earlier, while we were sharing these certificates to users, okay, so we had to like share these certificates like individually, like one by one. So right now we have options to like perform bulk sharing, and we can also share them with user groups or users in bulk. So there's like one other enhancement that's been introduced with this particular release. And one other enhancement here is earlier when we integrated with GoDaddy, okay, we had no option of importing existing GoDaddy certificates. So what we have to do here is like we have to go ahead and order new certificates. But right now, with this particular new version, we have an option wherein we can also click on the import existing certificates option to import any existing certificate. But still we will not be able to like renew the existing certificates, but importing existing certificates is possible. And any certificates that you want to renew for GoDaddy, that has to be first ordered from the GoDaddy interface. So under GoDaddy, we can navigate to order certificate page. From here, we can order the certificate. And in case if that particular certificate is going to expire, we can very well go ahead and renew that certificate from this particular page. And one other enhancement here is like earlier, while renewing certificates from your Microsoft Certificate Authority, in case if there was no private key, it was not possible for us to renew those certificates. But right now, you have an option wherein you can very well go ahead and choose to create one during this renewal process. So we can choose the option, create a new private key, and we can go ahead and proceed with the renewal process. And we all know that we can create a certificate signing request from Key Manager Plus, and then make use of those signing requests to get the certificate signed from your internal signing authority or a third party, or else even from a root certificate. So right now we have an option wherein like you can very well add a email address while creating the certificate request. Okay, so we can just navigate to the create button, provide the required information to create a certificate request. And you have an email address wherein you can specify an expiry notification email. So it means that in case of this particular certificate is going to expire in the future, a notification will be sent out to this particular email address. So you can have multiple email addresses specified here in comma separated values. And while we are running the discovery certificate, SSL certificate discovery, or else like while the scheduled SSL discovery is running, in case if a key manager, if a PAM360 identifies the certificates in any new service, we will not duplicate those servers in the SSL certificates page. And you can find this multiple servers I can highlight it, wherein you can click on them and you can see the list of all the servers from where the certificate was actually discovered. So in the future, in case if you're going to renew the certificates, you can very well easily replace those certificates onto those machines by selecting them and clicking on the deploy button. One other added feature here is like earlier, in case if we have to like deploy any certificates to target machines, that can be very well done. But in case if there is a firewall, or else if the certificates were, if the servers were behind a DMZ, there was no provision to deploy certificates. So we had agents earlier to discover certificates, but with the newly enhanced Windows agents that we have right now, we can also very well go ahead and deploy certificates onto target servers from PAM360. So let's assume we want to like deploy this particular certificate, okay, to a particular machine which is behind the DMZ. The first step to do it is to go ahead and then install the Windows agent on that particular target server. So we can download this agent and install it. Once the agent is installed, we can find the agent listed in this particular page. So we can just select that particular agent, hit the deploy button, and choose the type of deployment that we want to make. So these agents are right now available only for Windows. So we can very well like perform certificate like path-based deployments, UNC path deployments, or else like certificate store installation using these Windows agents. We have pretty much covered almost all the features and enhancements which were introduced in the latest version of PAM360. So we have enough time for questions. So I would encourage each one of you to like raise your questions, and we'd be glad to answer them for you.
I think a couple of questions have flown in, Shakti. If you want to take that up. All right. Looks like Shakti is facing a little bit of trouble with his network. There are a few
Yes,
questions
sorry
here.
about that. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
I lost network for a moment.
yeah.
So yeah, we had questions. So how does like are there any plans to integrate with MSPIM? Uh, if I'm not wrong, I believe it's Microsoft Privileged INT Management and it's the Microsoft Labs solution. Please correct me if I'm wrong. We do not integrate with Microsoft Labs because both PAM360 and Microsoft Labs performs password management. So we do not integrate with MSP. So just kindly correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, like if it's a different solution, MSPM is a different solution other than Labs, please kindly correct me. And we have one more question. Can existing PMP customers upgrade to PAM360? Yes, existing PMP customers can very well upgrade to PAM360. We would request you to get in touch with our support team, and we'll be glad to help you with the migration process. Is there any other type of identity that PAM360 manages other than passwords, SSH keys, and SSL certificates? Yes. So I'm not sure if you have followed on-screen instructions. I was not sure if you were able to hear. Yes, other than this, we can also very well manage PGP keys using PAM360. So we can navigate to the admin tab, and on the top right-hand side, under SSH SSL configuration, you have PGP keys option, from where you can go ahead and create new PGP keys. So these PGP keys will be normally used to encrypt mails or else any kind of configuration files. There are like lots of usage for these PGP keys. So once the PGP keys are generated, if you want to mail it to someone, you can very well do that. You can just click on the mail button and choose options to send out the public key or the private key. And you can also very well go ahead and export these PGP keys for any kind of usage.
We have one question, Shakti, in continuation to the previous question. Can licenses be upgraded from PMTP to PAM360 is one question that has been put in the chat box.
Yes, so the license can be very well upgraded from PMP to PAM360, and our sales team can actually help with this particular process. So, Salim, if you can actually get in touch with the support team, like we will go ahead and get the right teams over a call, and we can help you with the migration process. Either it's going to be the licensing or the data migration, we can very well help you with the same.
There seems to be one more question. How does PAM360 work with administrative units?
Okay, Andy, can you please be more clear with what you exactly mean by administrative units?
So we have an article in here for reference to administrative units. I think the administrative units refer to the units in Azure Active Directory. Shakti, if you could
Yes,
answer
one
this
moment.
question.
Okay, so if this is about privilege elevation and delegation, then currently we support these operations right now only for on-prem. So we do have plans to provide support for Azure Active Directory. So right now, on-prem, we do support. Okay, we have 5 more minutes. So in case if anyone else has any questions, please do raise them and I'll be glad to answer them for you. Okay, so I believe we have one more. So Gartner rating of this product. Shweta, I believe you'll be able to help us with this.
Sure, Shakti. So, PAM360, we have been continuously been ranked in the niche quadrant of the Gartner's Magic Quadrant, and you can also we are also partaking in the Gartner Peer Insights campaign. You can actually go to their Peer Insights portal and take a look at the reviews, the customer reviews for PAM360. So yeah, so as for the rating, if you mean the quadrant placing, we've been over the past 2-3 years, we have been placed in the Gartner's niche quadrant consistently, mostly. I hope this answers your question, Salim.
Okay, so over to you, Shweta.
Thank you very much for that informative session, Shakti. And I once again thank everyone who has been part of today's session. So, in continuation, we'll be emailing you the webinar recording and the presentation shortly. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to send them over to us to the email IDs displayed in the presentation, either to Shakti or to the PAM360 support, customer support email ID, and we'll be more than happy to assist you. With that, I think it's a wrap. And once again, I thank everyone who has been a part of this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.